So James was telling me that he was very glad that I got both of these, the Medieval England and the Gnosticism out at the same time.
Yeah, separately, but also at the same time. And Gnosticism is kind of before this really starts, the English thing, but this era, between the kind of like the Roman Empire kind of went down after 200 AD. I think there was a plague around 265 AD. I'm still doing research on what might have caused that. The Chinese Han Dynasty went down around a little after 200 AD. I think something climatic hit the world. And I'm not sure what all this information is not readily available right now. But it's just stuff that gets sloughed over, you know, like the medieval era. It's a long time. This British thing, this thing about, it's about in Britain, right?
Yeah, well, it's mostly about medieval England, but...
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it basically starts around 500 AD, and that's when the English people invade, right?
It starts before that.
Yeah, but he's giving background to it, right?
That was... Oh, you mean the... Oh.
I'm talking about the
You're
British
talking
one.
about the Gnosticism?
Oh, that's Paxton. That's right. That is the one, right?
Yeah.
I'm mixing it up. The guy who teaches the Gnosticism.
Oh.
Yeah, let's see where she's... I thought she kind of started with Arthur. Oh, I lost your place in there. No, that's my place. That's my bookmark.
That's...
I'll be able to remember because I just chucked it in there. Let's see where it starts off. From Britannia to Britain, Roman Britain and the origins of King Arthur. So, yeah, it's giving Roman Britain and stuff like that. So, but you see, like, yeah. Yeah, it kind of does, you know, it's dealing with Roman Britain, but Roman Britain is like classical, right? So, it's just giving the background to the medieval stuff, that's all. You know, history, you have to do background to stuff. You're going to do justice to some, or injustice, but
yeah, it's interesting where...
So it basically starts with the Anglo-Saxons, maybe 500 AD. So, but she's giving the context for who these Germanic Anglo-Saxon invaders stole the land from. So it's basically my ancestors. We've got some English and some German blood, but if I identify with any group at all, it's like the Scottish and the Irish. Right? The Celts had land stolen. Right? So that's where the English practiced for the New World. They did an amazing, effective job in Great Britain. Anyway,
well, not the English though, because there's no paternal British DNA anymore there.
Okay. So what is British?
What are you saying?
Are they English?
They would be. I'm guessing. See, I was thinking she was just meaning English, but she would mean Scottish and Welsh too if she's saying British.
What she means is Celtic people. When you say British, you're talking about Celtic people. So what she's saying is there's no, amongst English people, there's no male genes for Celtic ancestry amongst English people, but almost all of the female genes are Celtic. So what that means is when the Germans came stomping in there, they killed, like in battle, or by design afterwards, captives, or forced off into exile, either in the hills or across the water, all the Celtic males. I suspect what happened is the Celtic males headed for the hills, hoping they'd be able to come back later, and they're still waiting.
I don't know.
1,500
Maybe.
years
We'll see.
afterwards. So
Anyway.
that's what that stuff means. The problem is she didn't explain well enough what British means.
And I can't find it on the internet because I don't know what to keyword search, how to keyword search that exactly.
Sure, exactly right. So
and
yeah,
I'm getting
British
a whole bunch
means
of junk that I don't
Celtic
want.
in this context. The Angles means Germanic people. So, and or English. English and Germanic is the same thing, right? English people are Germanic people. They're not Germans, strictly speaking, but the Saxons came from present-day Germany. The Angles came from the borderlands between Germany and Denmark, and other people that came across were Jutes, and Jutes, Jutland, or as they call it, Jutland in Denmark. They're the mainland Danish people. And then the other people that came along, or one of the other four main groups, is the Frisians, and the Frisians are located in the mainland, northeastern mainland of Holland, and islands off of Holland, islands off of Germany, and islands, just a few islands off of Denmark. So basically, see, these are all Germanic people. So around 500 AD, so far as, for all intents and purposes, the native, we figure Indo-European Celtic people aren't the real natives of Great Britain, but so far as you can identify a modern day group, they're the natives, and they had the land, much of it, the best part of the land, stolen away by Germans. And what the Germans did, just looking at the genetic evidence, is they ethnically cleansed and or wiped out all the native Celts, and then they took over their women, and the rest is history, or that is history, and the rest is history, which is a record of mankind's inhumanity, human unkind acts to other inhuman unkinds. She's very good, but I can tell she didn't explain it very well, that part of the difference between British and English.
Yeah, okay.
British people are Celtic. The reason why they call it Great Britain is to try and keep the Celtic people on board, the Welsh and the people in Northern Ireland, and the people in Scotland. For all intents and purposes, they're the natives, and they had the land stolen away from them by the Germanic Angles and Saxons and Jutes and Frisians. In essence, the English. But English people are a mix. They're basically, the female part of them is Celtic, and the male part of them is Anglo-Saxon. So, if you're English, I'm part English. That part of me is a bunch of rapists. Well, put simply, that's what happened. Right? I'm prejudiced against English people.
So anyway, what were you saying about... Well, what I found interesting about this is there's so much information, but just a little tiny bit. She just mentions a few things about each.
You can only do so much,
because
right?
there's just so much
it's
to
such
go
a long
through
period.
here.
It's 1,000 years.
And so you go through this, and you're like, okay, well, how about a whole great course on this one person, or this
This is true.
because there's just
so much to cover.
It ends up being not as interesting. This one isn't as interesting to watch as that one.
Yeah, the Gnosticism is more detailed, right? But it's fascinating. Did you want to finish?
You can go ahead and talk.
No, you want to do more on the Gnosticism. You already did, or?
I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So we just drank 2 bell peppers each, 2 orange bell peppers each.
Man, oh man, that's so invigorating by comparison with almost any one of the juice drinks, except for cucumbers.
We had beet green this morning. That was not good.
That was tough.
And then I had arugula later on, and I still wasn't really over the beet green.
You mean the same sitting, basically?
Yeah, not long enough
Wow.
after. That was a tough one.
I can only drink one of those things that I was sitting. You've got a tough constitution. Able to keep that
wasn't
stuff
good.
up.
I kept it down.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's a struggle. Beef greens are a struggle for me. I'm amazed I was able to keep that down. It wasn't really, for some reason or another, it wasn't as strong as some of the stuff you've given me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's beef greens with ginger.
Yeah, well, the arugula has been tough lately.
It's tough. Kale, of course, by definition, is tough.
Yes. But there's so many things you can do with the pulp. The beet greens, you can make spanakopita with that.
You make a good spanakopita.
Yeah. You can.
She didn't even deny it.
No.
No false humility here. I don't believe in false humility. And I'm not being ironic. She knows it, right? She knows she's
You can use coconut oil in between the phyllo sheets, just like you would ghee or melted butter.
I don't like it when Pauline makes spanakopita because it makes me feel really guilty. She spends a lot of time making food, preparing it, cooking it.
Yeah.
But when you do that,
it's
that
all
thin
eaten
stuff,
up really fast.
the thin stuff, it takes so long, for each layer. What do you call that, phyllo or something like that?
Yeah, phyllo.
Well,
You buy it already made. You don't make it yourself.
still. No, you have made it from scratch. You have made it from scratch.
When did I do that?
Back, actually, when you might have had last time.
Whoa. That is so cold.
You're getting a brain freeze. Just
I'm
thinking
not
about it.
accustomed to having James eats the popsicles. This is the first popsicle I've had in
Yeah.
maybe the whole time we've been dating
15 years then.
and then married. Oh my god.
Yeah, those are good on a hot day, but you got to be ready for that
How
first
do you
bite.
eat this?
Carefully. I'm trying not to let it hit my teeth because I don't want my teeth shattering.
Yeah, I know. Still so cold.
Now get ready. It's going to start spilling and stuff.
Oh.
Have you ever eaten it out of these things?
No,
I advise holding it over this thing or over the bowl. Because it'll start melting in a hot day like this down in that little container down there. And it'll start
good
falling
design.
apart. It's a pretty good design. I mean, it does hold a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So someone was thinking about kids and sloppiness and trying to help them.
Yeah.
Mother up. I think I tell them sleeping.
Feeding the raccoons and the crows.
That's why the raccoons ended up on the deck. I've been
Yes,
feeding them. I
because
tempted
you've been
them up there.
feeding them.
I'm the one who's the guilty party. Have you talked to people at home there about the raccoons? Well, you showed the roadkill there.
But then,
You found another one
the
up
other
in
night,
yeah. You haven't mentioned that one.
I haven't mentioned it.
This is a good news story,
So
kind of, sort
maybe,
of.
maybe 4 in the morning. Maybe a little bit earlier.
So dark,
Dark.
pitch dark.
So very dark. I was putting out my, I don't know, either kale juice pulp that I didn't want or something like that. I don't know.
In the garden.
I was putting something in the garden. And so I didn't go in the dark. I don't go right back. I just
The
pitch it
halo
off
of
the-
light from
off
the living room.
the deck.
Yeah, that one.
So
So you're up on the
whatever
deck
I had,
here, right?
I was pitching it off, and when I came out, I heard big noise, like
Probably responding
sounded like
to the noise of you coming out, right?
no, there was something in the cherry tree. I could tell it was as far as the cherry tree, and it was like sounded like crack, 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 like
It was
big,
chowing
big
down. maybe.
noises.
Now
like,
you've heard a bear chowing down on berries. How would you compare the sound? A
It's-
bear out in the wild,
it
up in
was
water.
loud.
See, almost as bad as a bear.
So I
So
thought,
was it as big as a bear? It sounded as bad as
No.
a bear.
So I thought, geez, something's wrecking my cherry tree. Like they're breaking branches, because it was really loud. For, thing. There's nothing else happening. Just
And it's
before
right
4
up in the
morning.
cherry tree.
And it's right up in the cherry tree. I can hear it. That's about how far it is anyway.
6
And
feet
so-
high, probably, right?
Yeah. So I don't know what was going on. I can't see anything, so I go back into the
Pauline's
house and
very
I lock
brave.
the door.
I
And I
would have
was
been
scared,
inside.
and I thought
Yeah.
I should phone James to come help me. And then I thought, well, what's he gonna do? And I thought,
would have run away. So
yes. And so I thought, is it a person that's there? Like breaking the tree or whatever, right? Like I didn't know what was
right
going
up
on.
in the tree.
Yeah.
Making huge amounts of
Huge noise. And so
You're saying over 100 pounds of noise, right?
so loud, I thought it was a person.
A person. So that's over 100 pounds of noise. Maybe 150 pounds of noise.
So then I decided, okay, well, what can I do? I went back in and I got the camera.
See,
and I thought, if I put the flash, I might be able to see. So I opened the door, I had the camera ready, had the flash up, I ran out, snapped a picture, ran back in, locked the door. Because I think it's a person, right? And I'm scared. So I look and I'm like, can't see. I can only see, the flash doesn't go that far. So, anyway, so I was disappointed. And I thought, I waited a few minutes and I thought, well, if it's a person, surely they would have been scared off by the flash, and there's been a few minutes, so they would have just left realizing, oh, well.
And you could have been coming out with a kitchen knife, You don't
know.
Anyone
right?
doing that sort of stuff would be silly
to stick around. So that's what I was thinking. So I crept out with the camera again, and I'm like, and I don't really want to go because I can't see anything, and I'm thinking, oh, somebody could grab me, and they don't know that I don't have a weapon and am a pacifist, and I'm not going to do anything. So anyway, so I get out to the cherry tree, creep over there, and I'm walking in the alley because I don't want to really make a whole lot of noise, and I click some pictures with the flash in the direction of the noise. And then big noise and running to the spruce tree. Yeah. And so I go along the path in the dark and click the camera at the spruce tree, and I found somebody looking at me. They were up in the first branches, about
good climber,
maybe 3 feet above where I would be able to reach with my arms. So they were smart, thinking, oh,
it was a climber. So do you think it was a refugee from Michael Jackson's homemade zoo? Was it like a little monkey or something like that?
No, it wasn't
a little monkey. It was a raccoon. So wearing a little raccoon mask and stuff like that. Looking like the Riddler out of the Batman.
He looked concerned that I might want to get him into trouble or something.
Already lost one of his kin, I'm afraid.
Wow.
Within a week, so.
Because that roadkill was only maybe a block and a half away?
Block and a half, and less than a week away, I'd say. So. I think they're intelligent enough, to know that something happened. Anyway, I've never heard of raccoons around here, but they're here, so.
But I talked to my neighbor about it, and she said that they'd found a baby raccoon in their yard once.
Wow. How
recently? 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so she knew that they had them because they found one. So they got it into a bucket and they tied the bucket shut so the baby, and she could hear it scratching in there, and she was scared, but they drove it out and let it go. But out into the wilds.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah, I speak from experience, right? And you were trying to hold this. I can see you caught a lot of this stuff, so it's not as though. But I kind of recommended this.
You did, yes.
You did a better job than I did the first time.
No kid can get that bit.
Oh yeah, you can. Okay. Kids are really ingenious. Here's the deal: you just tip it up, and you drink it as you're tipping it up. But have the bowl.
Really messy.
I know. Well, that's part of being a kid. But put a bowl underneath, or something like that, and hold it right to you. See, I hold it right here. Okay. I'll hold it for you. You're okay?
That's impossible.
Well, you take a fork. I've done it. I've forgotten how I did it. I'm gonna have to recall it. Because I see you provided me with one. Pretty good now. I bet you it'll come up now. Maybe.
So James is reading way ahead in Gnosticism.
I finished it though.
Oh dear.
It's a gripping read. Even though you know the ending isn't going to be that good for. Although they've tried to revive it.
For Jesus? You know it doesn't end up so great. Well, he's in the kingdom, so.
Well, the deal is it got crushed, right? For about 1,500 years, and then it's been revived now in the 21st century. Maybe starting in the 20th. I'm not terribly threatened by the religion, so I think I'm going to kind of tentatively cheer that revival. Most religious revivals I'm decidedly enthused about.
Well, I was thinking this little dish at the bottom was a good thing, and now I'm thinking it's impossible to get that stuff.
But you got almost all of it. Now you can drink some stuff, see? So, on a hot summer's day, was it messier than usual popsicle? Was it a little cleaner? Maybe. Because, honest to God, if you've been out here, you would have had to just be eating that like crazy. I understand if you've been eating it regularly, it'd just be all over you. You've been there, done that as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I was.
I mean, that's one of the fun things about being a kid. You can be messy and people don't get too mad at you. Yeah. Unless you're extra messy. Someone gives you a popsicle, that's on them.
We were given these, which are also fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cake pops. Would you like the one that is kind of squished or the one that is perfectly round?
Kind of squished.
Thank you.
See? We're both kind of like, in some ways perfectionists, in some ways not. But we do like things that are symmetrical.
I like to keep things perfect.
There we go. When Pauline's doing art, she's less symmetrical loving. Pauline likes color. And is good with color too. Mm-hmm. In the way she dresses and in doing art.
Well, I'm not good at drawing.
Well, those two things are two different skills apparently. The brain processes colors and line differently. But there's some things you're very good at. Dogs. Parrots. Birds generally. I'd probably find some other animal. Did you ever do anything? You did some geckos, right?
I don't know, that Africa series that I did.
You did some of those pretty good. But the more you spend time with them, the better you are with them. Mm-hmm. So dogs, awesome. Some of that when you did Tornado or Little Basset Hunt, crazy good. We did one a copper.
I wish I'd spent more time with the animals at the zoo, but I was working and...
Well, exactly right. You actually had some ethics about doing the work. For the public coin. And some people do. I tried to. I can mention people by name positively. Ron Issa, city worker, awesome. Great guy too. Kevin Theodore, one of my foremen.
I don't know.
Awesome worker, great guy too.
You would think that you would be able to mention people positively, but they might not feel positive about it.
Who knows? I think they do. Rob Hudson, great worker, great guy too. So. Just in case they're watching, I don't think they'd be watching.
Nobody watches what we do.
Well, 17 in the last count, right? Or is it down?
I think 2 people watched my last one, or read my last blog.
You mean down from 17 to 2, eh? Well, thank you for watching, you two out there. Maybe it's down to 1?
No, it's just different people, like...
For different things. There might be 1 million people now tuned in about Gnosticism and stuff like that.
I doubt it. But yeah, like last week I had my first person from South Africa. Look, that's interesting.
I didn't say where in South Africa?
Just South Africa.
So we'll say Bloemfontein, or however you pronounce it, Orange Free State, just in case you're from there. I don't think they call it Orange Free State anymore. What was that?
They probably won't look in again.
Who knows?
They might. If you do, thank you.
Kimberley, South Africa, from there. I've been through there. Parle, South Africa. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but shout out or whatever. I've been through there. Cape Town, better chance, a bigger place. I've been through there. Thank you for the scenery.
We get a lot of people look in from the United States.
This is true.
The most of the people that look into my stuff. Not very many people look into my stuff.
West Helena, Arkansas. A shout out. Thanks for sending Levon Helm up to Canada.
They'd tell me which
drummer
state.
for the band. Exactly right. I mean,
because it's huge. Just
it's half a continent,
States
right? It's half a continent.
Yeah.
It'd be bigger than Europe. So, and it's much more settled than Canada is. So spread out. There are places in the Southwest that are sparsely settled, but California's much smaller than Canada. It's got more people, I think, than Canada.
Well, I feel bad that I ate the perfect one, because now the imperfect one's left, so you'll have to eat it. Because it exists.
Well, I'm going to have to eat that popsicle.
Yes, definitely. Boy, that.
But in case you're watching from Flagstaff, Arizona, thanks for watching. Thanks for contributing a line to a Jackson Browne song.